My name is Elizabeth Decker. A survivor. This is my story. I had escaped Climber City, but at great cost and great sorrow. The team that had saved me was lost. They had sacrificed their lives to save mine. A burden that lay heavily on my shoulders. The transport had delivered me to Skydeck, 200 stories pointing up into the clouds. It was almost like a self-contained hive, with living quarters, workshops, offices, even a bar. Once I was finished being examined by the doc, I was to report to the commander for a debrief. I tried to explain to him the science, my hypothesis on what had happened in Climber City. I believed that the human genome had been intentionally manipulated for synthetic integration. He said he didn't have time for my conspiracy theories. It's strange how the blind always lead humanity into darkness. I wish I could tell you I took all this well, but I didn't. That I was some kind of hero. But I'm not. There was a bar on Deck 30, a real dump, that acted as a social hub. I needed a drink, badly. I wanted to get completely shit-faced. I got talking to one of the office monkeys that managed the mech lab. He mentioned a transport had arrived carrying survivors. Amongst them a damaged droid, a rare find, one of the original prototypes. An Arclight 5 model. While I was sat here drinking myself into oblivion, all hell was breaking loose in the city below. The droid lying on the repair bay was Preacher. It hit me hard, survivor's guilt. The machine had saved my life. It could be refitted, repaired and reprogrammed, perhaps. But who he was now gone. I felt lost and alone. Slowly I turned to leave and headed to my newly assigned living quarters. Even though I was weary, I was unable to sleep. I felt an intense feeling of dread and anxiety. The day's events buzzing round in my head, driving me crazy. Slowly I began to put the puzzle together. The outbreak was somehow linked to a mass global vaccination program during the early 21st century that had started rewriting the human gene sequences. Somehow it was linked to a biolab on the outskirts of New Florida. It could provide me with answers to the origins of the pandemic. Exhausted, I drifted into a dreamless, restless sleep. I woke up suddenly to the sound of an alarm. Quickly I grabbed my shoes. We were being told to evacuate to the zones on ground level. I realized then that this nightmare was never going to end. It would spread and consume everything. Unless it was stopped soon, it would be the fall of our civilization. If you asked me now, I couldn't explain it to you. Why I chose not to evacuate with everyone else. I made my way to the deck lift, towards the mech lab. I tried to reboot Preacher, patch it up the best I could. Although heavily damaged, it was still functional. With damage to the main power core, I had no idea how long it would remain operational, but it was my only hope. We made our way to the landing bay. I boarded the transport. Preacher would be able to override the docking lock and pilot me to my destination. There was no going back now. I knew in my soul it was something I needed to do regardless of the consequences. And so we launched from Skydeck towards our destination. We were on our own from here on out. There was no going back. Dread and anxiety clawed at me with their dark fingers. It would take hours to reach the labs and the machine wasn't much for company. Wearied, I began to drift, my eyes heavy. Deep sleep finally overcame me. And it was welcome. The transport docked with the landing pad at Utopia Lab. It seemed eerily quiet. We entered the main foyer. I felt apprehensive. The facility seemed to be deserted. All its employees and staff gone. It made no sense. I waited impatiently in the elevator lobby. Access to the deck lift had been blocked. Preacher was busy at the console. It would eventually be able to manually override the security lock. In the meantime, dark thoughts played on my mind. What had happened here? There was no way the virus could have reached here in such a short period of time. Access to the elevator had been granted. I felt uneasy and anxious as we walked inside. The door slid closed behind us and our descent into the lower levels began.
Elevator going down. Elevator going down. Elevator going down.
I remember when the creature attacked. The indescribable fear and terror. While I was paralyzed, unable to move, the machine didn't hesitate. Opening fire. It sent the monstrosity flailing across the floor in a hail of bullets. It had saved my life again. Sat on that cold metal floor, exposed, vulnerable and humiliated. I vowed never again. A new resolve took hold of me. If I was to die down here, it wouldn't be on my knees, cowering in the darkness, but with courage, strength and conviction. We need to find the deck lift. On the opposite side of the facility. It's the only way to access the biolab on the lower levels. Hurry, this sector's completely overrun by those things. Strange. Looks like they were trying to intentionally infect people. Viruses are quintessential parasites. They depend on the host cell for almost all of their life-sustaining functions. This virus has evolved an elaborate process of infection. Following absorption and firm attachment of the virus's tail to the membrane surface by means of proteinaceous pins, the muscle-like tail contracts, and the tail plug penetrates the cell wall and underlying membrane and injects foreign DNA into the cell. This then begins rewriting the host's DNA, effectively creating a new type of organism. How it's being transmitted is still unclear. Maybe a bite or a cut. But this wouldn't explain why it's been able to spread so fast. If I can get to the lab, I can start getting some answers. This is the Section 1 junction. We need to find the correct door to Sector 2. And keep pushing forward to the deck lift. It's our only chance. This is the Sector 2 junction. We need to hurry to the next sector before we are overrun by those creatures. This is Sector 3. We're almost there now. The deck lift can't be far from here. We need to hurry. More of those monsters are waking up from hibernation. This is the Sector 4 junction. The deck lift should be in the next zone of the facility. Keep pushing on. Hurry, we don't have much time. We had made it to the deck lift. This sector deep underground was a compilation of labs and workshops. I wondered what secrets they held. The fight to get here had taken its toll on us. Preacher was low on ammo, and its power supply almost exhausted. I needed time to search through the lab data and find out the truth. Although tired and exhausted, I threw myself into the task. Searching relentlessly, I wanted answers. Archives revealed information on a foundation, the creation of a messenger RNA vaccine during the early 21st century. It was the beginning of a snowball effect over many generations, with the ultimate goal of biological and synthetic integration. The nanoparticles were a way to recode and reprogram human DNA, effectively paving the way to creating biomorphic organisms. The naivety of our past had doomed our future. I opened a file codenamed Dark Angel and began to read. What I saw astonished and horrified me.